Okay, so we're back with the preservation of the Quran. And preservation of the Quran in form of the book, it started at the time of Prophet. He would dictate it to some of his companions who knew how to write, okay, like Zayd ibn Tabitha, and he knew how to write, and Ali used to know how to write, and some other companions who knew how to write and read, and not a lot of people knew at that time. And subhanAllah, they used to write it on different parts of, paper, and well, there was no paper, but like skins and bones and leaves, and they used to write it. And of course, a lot of times the Prophet would add his commentary. Like people would ask him, "What does this mean?" or what, and he would add, these are called hadith, his statements. And people would sometimes write it in their own piece of paper. Right, everyone would write. Some would have their own copies, and they would try to so they have their own personal understanding of the verses, or how to memorize, what to say, and what is right and what and based on the Prophet's statements. And the Prophet didn't really like it when people wrote what he would say, commenting on the verse, because he would not want people to confuse the verses with his statements. So these people wrote, and he would also they would try to recite it back to him, and he would always check it to make sure it's correct. And the angel Gabriel would always come, and of course we know in Ramadan and the last year before he died, the angel Gabriel came twice and revised the Quran and made make sure everything's. And he would recite it to the people in prayer, and the people would memorize it, and the people would keep it with them. And there was a lot of his companions who memorized the Quran. And some of them, Uthman, Ali, Abu Bakr, and Omar, and Zayd, and a lot of people who knew the Quran by heart. Okay, so we find that the Prophet died. Okay, the Prophet died, and Abu Bakr took lead and took charge of the Islamic Ummah, the nation, and he was the Caliph. And subhanallah, the Islamic empire spread now, and it reached into places where people were not speaking Arabic. Okay, they're non-Arab speakers. Okay, people coming and reciting, they start learning the Quran, and they're butchering the Arabic. They'll change the word. The word kelb can be dog, but qulb is hard. So they'll change the pronunciation, and it would be something wrong. And the Arabic, that's why it's a beautiful, 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 beautiful language. If you study Arabic syntax and Arabic language, you will be blown away. And subhanAllah, it's very, very unfortunate, because today we know names of movies, lines from movies, other things that are so useful, names of players and their stats and everything. But when it comes to our faith, we don't know too much about it. Not too many people dedicate their life. And at the time, everyone knew their faith inside and out. Subhanallah. And even whether it's Judaism or Christianity, people don't know. They say, "Oh, English is enough for me." Subhanallah, God did not reveal this message in English. You should know the language that the message was revealed in. You should know what's inside of it. Muslims should know Arabic. We should know how to read the Quran. We should know what the Quran says. How are you going to interact with the Quran if you don't know, if you don't seek knowledge? So we should know this. We should push ourselves. Forget learning lines from the movies. Forget, we can learn the Quran. You can learn Jewish script. You can learn whatever. SubhanAllah, to see what it says in there. So we find that the Islamic empire was spreading, and people were butchering the Quran in terms of the way they speak. So they came to Abu Bakr and Omar, and they said, "We need to somehow to teach the people properly, to standardize the reading." And Abu Bakr was not very happy about this. He was a bit hesitant. He didn't want to do something wrong. And of course, he took advice from people, and Omar told him that we should, because we have to make sure that people recite properly. This is the word of God. So they standardized the Quran. Okay, they took anyone who had anything written. Of course, they had it. Remember this very, very important point. I'm going to stress this point. They had it memorized. We have it memorized. People have it memorized today. Okay, they recite the Quran throughout the world. 10 million people. So don't underestimate that. Okay, there's no anything, any book, any recitation, anything that is like the Quran. Okay, so they had that, and that was the first thing that they would. What I mean? Obviously, but they didn't want that people think that, what I mean? So it was something public. This was not the Council of Nicaea where people closed the doors and then they decided what's the scriptures or not. This was something public. Everyone could come and bring their whatever they wrote when they heard the Prophet, okay, and bring it together, and let's check, the verses and everything, okay? So they had the Quran done, and this was the Quran that was with Hafsa, the Prophet's daughter, right? So, subhanallah, And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like, of course the Quran is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they wrote the Quran, okay, based of course on the memory and what the people brought the verses, and to cross check with it, but they added later on, I'm gonna get to this, so they had this one copy of the Quran, okay, and they had to preserve it. Abu Bakr died, okay, Omar came into to leading, okay, and then after Omar, Uthman, and then at the time of Uthman, again they faced that challenge. That, you know what, people were doing different things, and they had their own they're writing things on the Quran, and they're getting confused, right? So Uthman put in charge Zayd ibn Thabit to again go collect from people again all the parslets and things, okay, so they don't get confused. Again, very public, okay, everyone, it was an announcement, people came, whether you're Bedouin or this or that, whatever you're from, they would come. And I will talk about this